Scott Galloway questions if we love our children. He has the right question, but comes up with the wrong answers. Some of you may have heard of Scott Galloway. Galloway is a podcaster, professor, entrepreneur, and speaker. His expertise is marketing, and one of the companies he founded was sold in 2017 for $155 million. He teaches brand management and digital marketing at NYU Stern School of Business in the MBA program. He has proposed ideas such as taxing university endowments, has called for breaking up big corporations like Amazon and Apple, and he believes government should have access to all the personal data that companies collect on their customers. Politically, he is a Democrat, having supported billionaire Michael Bloomberg for president. He is also an entertaining speaker and gave a TED Talk. It is worth examining his TED Talk. He asks the question, do we love our children? Sounds like a legitimate question, right? Good question, but Galloway comes up with all of the wrong answers. You might wonder why Galloway thinks we don't love our children. He lists his reasons. Young people are making less money on an inflation-adjusted basis. The cost of buying a home has skyrocketed, and the cost of getting an education has skyrocketed. Why has all of that happened? He claims older people are taking away opportunity and prosperity from young people. He says a 30-year-old is no longer doing as well as his or her parents were at 30. This is a breakdown in the fundamental agreement we have with any society, and it creates rage and shame. He continues, as a result, people over the age of 55 feel pretty good about America, but less than 1 in 5 people under the age of 34 feel very good about America. To summarize, young people find that wages are down, costs are up, and that they may not be as well off financially as their parents. I think most of us would agree there is some truth to this statement, although I know of many young people who are doing better than their parents, including my daughter. Now let's look at Galloway's reasons for wages being down and costs being up. The first one he identifies is minimum wage. He suggests that minimum wages should be $23 an hour. He alludes to it being some conspiracy of old people that minimum wages are kept low. The first minimum wage was set by the Fair Labor Standards Act in 1938. Today we have federal minimum wages, state minimum wages, and city minimum wages. In my city, we have minimum wages specifically for hotel cleaners of $23 per hour. Despite 80 years of minimum wages, government interference in the free market for labor has resulted in nothing more than people like Scott calling for increases in the minimum wage. Wikipedia reports that 90% of workers earn more than the minimum wage, and the Congressional Budget Office suggests moving the federal minimum wage would result in the loss of 1.4 million jobs. Minimum wage laws have resulted in elimination of jobs, elimination of free market capitalism, and accomplished very little in moving people upward on the economic ladder. His second point relates to the cost of housing. He states, the median home price has skyrocketed relative to median household income. As a result, pre-pandemic, the average mortgage payment was $1,100. It's now $2,300 because of an acceleration in interest rates. Correct. Higher interest rates make homes less affordable. But Scott never explains why we have high interest rates. It's not because old people want high interest rates. It's because the government has had to increase interest rates to combat inflation caused by government printing money and overspending. He continues by suggesting that homes are expensive because 60% of the cost of building a home goes to permits. Because guess what? The incumbents that own assets have weaponized government to make it very difficult for new entrants to ever get their own assets, thereby elevating their own net worth. I know many developers. None of them want to make it difficult for new entrants to buy or build homes. The cost of building homes in California is double what it is in Texas, all due to government regulations, most of which are the result not of incumbents who own assets, but because of big government politicians who want to protect every homeowner from climate change. New homes in California must have solar and forget about installing a gas stove. He then switches the discussion from minimum wages and the cost of housing to the cost of education. He states not only is higher ed incredibly expensive, it's not accessible, because me and my colleagues are drunk on luxury. He suggests we artificially constrain supply to create aspiration and scarcity, such that we can raise tuition faster than inflation. He then goes on to use Harvard as an example. The reality is, in the United States, we have some 4,000 degree granting colleges and universities, and if you go to school in my state, you can do 2 years at community college for free and another 2 years at a state college for a cost of about $10,000. Further, in the U.S., colleges are closing due to lack of enrollment, as students are questioning the value of 4-year degrees when it comes to increasing earning potential. Higher education is both accessible and affordable. But he is right about constraining supply. The U.S. government went after for-profit universities and shut many of them down. However, they didn't do it because of old people who wanted them closed. They did it because of the education lobby by groups like the California Faculty Association didn't like the competition. He then goes on to talk about the transfer of wealth. Apparently, he sees wealth being transferred from young people to old people, as if old people somehow plotted to make this happen. The reality is that old people have assets, stocks, bonds, real estate, and those assets are an income. Why don't young people have assets? Because when the old people were younger and earning an income, they got to keep a lot more of their paychecks, which they could use to invest. Today's young people are paying as much as 60% of what they earn to the government. According to Galloway, the result of this plot by old people to increase the cost of housing, increase the cost of education, and limit wages is causing problems such as obesity, depression, self-harm, gun deaths, increased overdose deaths, and men not wanting to have sex. I would ask, is all that the result of a plot by old people to stiff if to the young people, or is a lot of it the result of what Galloway and his professors teach? If your university professor tells you the deck is stacked against you, the old people are intentionally limiting your opportunities, and that you're a victim, maybe these are the results you get. Galloway states, nothing wrong with America that can't be fixed with what's right with it. We got the hard stuff figured out. There are programs to address all of these issues. They cost a lot of money. So what are the solutions? Galloway has a long list of them. I'll list just a few of them here. Biden should give $1 billion to the country's 500 greatest educational institutions. The government should change Social Security so that you only get it if you need it, despite having been promised this money based on your contributions throughout your working career. The government should increase the minimum wage to $25. The government should increase the child tax credit by $11 billion. The government should increase the per capita spending on child care. The government should eliminate the capital gains tax rate. We should increase funding to the IRS. We should increase taxes on corporations and rich people. A few other ideas include income-based affirmative action, universal pre-K, banning cell phones in school, and not allowing people under the age of 16 on social media. I'm not sure the plight of young people is quite as dire as Galloway makes it out to be. I know a lot of young people who are earning good incomes, making wise educational choices like community college as opposed to Harvard, and operating small businesses. But let's acknowledge that the cost of education is high, the cost of housing is high, and real income is down. You then must ask why? Is it because, as Galloway suggests, the wealth is being intentionally transferred from young people to old people? I disagree. The issues Galloway focuses on, education, housing, and income, exist almost entirely from government fiscal and tax policy and government regulation. And Galloway's solution to these problems is, you guessed it, a whole lot more government spending and government intervention in the free markets, the government taking more of your money and deciding how it should be spent, and the government further limiting your personal freedom and liberty. Galloway fails to recognize these problems exist not because the government has done nothing to fix them, but because the government has intervened to such an extent in the economic life of citizens that it has created many of these problems. Expecting the government to fix these problems with more rules, regulations, and taxes when the government created most of these problems is, at the very least, foolish. Might I suggest to Mr. Galloway another approach? How about we shrink the size of government, reduce government spending, reduce government taxes, reduce government interference in our lives, restore freedom and liberty, and let the economic engine of the United States of America, free markets, personal initiative, and personal freedom and liberty take its course. We might just find a lot of the problems Mr. Galloway is concerned about fix themselves without a plethora of new government programs, spending, and taxes.